It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. Just email me directly at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. A returning guest, when we haven't had him on the show for 9 months. So we'll find out if it's a boy or a girl. We're going to find out today. You can hear his voice. People always appreciate Cassie Gane-McCalla. He wrote that book about the CIA, the secret CIA war in Jamaica. You can find him on YouTube at Casey Gane. He does reality theory. Instagram, Casey Gane. He's doing a lot of stuff there now. You can find him on Twitter at Casey Gane. Mr. Cassie Gane-McCalla, are you there?
Yes, I am, Ed. How you doing, man?
Man, it's too long, I don't know why I don't bring you on more often, I just, maybe you have to start nagging me like the other guys do. Okay, how you been, man?
I've taken a pause on reality theory till I could, get something more monetized like that. So I haven't been doing the real good historical research that I haven't. Well, I have been actually, and been doing some cool stuff with AI. So I'm thinking of creating conspiracy version of ChatGPT that will actually tell you the truth when you ask it about the JFK assassination. They won't tell you Oswald did it. Like ChatGPT will really tell you all the good research by people like Gaetan Fonzi. I know some good research by Mark Lane, Jim Garrison, and then also going to MLK assassination. So something where people interested in conspiracies can actually go to and not get the kind of propaganda they're going on. So that's one thing I've been working on. So be on the lookout for that pretty soon. I'm thinking of, Conspiracy Bot or something like that, where you can actually find out real news about conspiracies. Because when you go to ChatGPT and these other LLMs, they spread the same mainstream media propaganda that the mainstream media spreads. And, I'm trying to train these bots on, all these great books by Russ Baker, David Talbot, the book on Danny Castellaro, which you were just talking about. And so if people do have questions from the Netflix documentary and you want to know more, you could actually engage with an intelligent AI and not a propaganda AI that will give you misinformation to cover the conspiracies, but will really go into all the allegations, the documents, and the good research that's going on. So that's kind of what I've been up to. So that should be fun. Hopefully next time I'm on the show, I'll be able to promote that. And then all the Opperman Report listeners who are very well versed in conspiracies and might want to learn more. So I'm thinking of training it on like all Dave Emery's old shows, because I think he has transcripts from all of them. So
it made Brussels too. Yeah, that's a brilliant, Casey. That's a brilliant
transcripts as well.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. You should be able to get like some, public funding, and take that company public and put that out there. That's a great idea.
Yeah, anyone interested in helping me, man? I need help. I need money. Ed, maybe we could work on that together. And then people, after you listen to Mae Brussel on Ed's network, you can find out more and really, because people like Dave Emery and Mae Brussel have done so much amazing research for the years, and really. I like to consider myself a pretty good researcher in terms of conspiracies and government corruption, but I'm really standing on the shoulders of giants with Mae Brussel and Dave Emery in terms of the amazing research they did. Like when I first started researching my book, I would listen to Dave Emery's Guns of November, Dave Emery's CIA, Military, and Drugs, which are, I think they're still available on YouTube. If not, I think you can go to Dave Emery's, they're all in some format, I forgot. But
Dave Emery's on Patreon now,
He's on Patreon now, but he has all the old shows with Nip Tuck on like a certain format. Like I'm trying to think of the name, but he has like every show he has is available to listen to.
Well, nowadays, you mentioned Dave Emery, you mentioned, Mae Brussel. I guess another one would be Dave McGowan, Maury Terry, these kind of guys. All these old OGs, the old heads, right? And I got to tell you, Peter Dale Scott. And I got to put you in that category too, man. I've known you 10 years. You were around 10 years ago. We got all these kids showing up now today with these podcasts and these YouTubes. Just, who knows where they get their information from. And this chat, this conspiracy chat, what is it called? AI?
I'm using a conspiracy chat or conspiracybot.com and then launching it there where people could really get, good information based on researchers like them, based on good authors, as I mentioned, David Talbot, Russ Baker.
No, that's a great idea. And I would definitely consider a partnership with you. All we got to do is come up with some funding, and then I just got to get rid of you. And I'll be the next, what's his name, Zuckerberg. I'll be the Opperberg.
You're the next Zuckerberg. Yeah. If the deep state comes for you, man, the deep state might come for you. So we'll see.
They already got
me.
me.
They might take Costolero if we do this. So we'll see.
They already got me.
Be a Netflix documentary about us in 10 years.
Yeah.
Who killed Ed Opperman and Cassie Gane, and they'll go into our conspiracy bot, which we hijacked the software with, and then they'll go way back to the JFK assassination and Operation Phoenix and see how it all ties together. Our lives will not be in vain.
Yeah, hopefully. So, Casey, I contacted you today because you're an old hip-hop guy, and all this stuff came out about Sean Combs, P Diddy, Puff Diddy, all this stuff, and the guy, right? All these millions of lawsuits with this character. Where do we even get started on this?
Well, I'll give a little background on P Diddy. His real name is Sean Combs. He grew up in Harlem. His mother was a model and hairdresser, and his father was a gangster connected to Nicky Barnes, who was a big heroin kingpin. And there were some rumors that his father was an informant and he was killed over that. But
yeah. Wait a minute. Casey, my ex-partner is the cop who arrested Nicky Barnes on the bribery charges.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's a whole story behind that thing, man. I definitely think this guy was an informant.
Yeah, Nicky Barnes eventually definitely became an informant. He told on everybody while he was in jail. But Melvin Combs, he's involved in the drug trade, so he was rich. So eventually Diddy would move from Harlem to Mount Vernon. And in Mount Vernon, he went to one of the best private schools there. Went on to Howard University, where he would intern at Uptown Records, which was a big hip-hop record label at the time. Which would lead to him eventually having his own deal with Clive Davis, who is a kind of infamous figure. There's a lot of people saying that Clive Davis was kind of Diddy's sugar daddy, but there's another big sugar daddy who comes into the picture. So he founded Bad Boy Records, signed the Notorious Blige, who's one of my favorite rappers. Of course, then he was infamously involved in a kind of East Coast, West Coast feud between Suge Knight himself, Tupac, and Notorious B.I.G., and so recently, I guess, there has been a guy by the name of Keefe D who claims he was involved in the killing of
Tupac.
Notorious Tupac, right? After a kind of fight at the MGM Grand at a Mike Tyson fight that, in which his cousin or nephew Orlando Anderson was beat up, and there was retaliation for that. But he's also claimed that Diddy had offered him $1 million to kill either Suge Knight or Tupac, and that he never got that, and that there was a kind of middleman who was another kind of infamous, big-time New York drug dealer by the name of Eric Von Zip Williams. So,
wait, Casey, I got to stop you for 1 second. Because with Nicky Barnes, again, back to Nicky Barnes. I'm from New York, and I know this stuff. There's an audio tape you can hear of Nicky Barnes in prison where he's contacting the SDNY New York, and he's offering to make a deal with them. And he says to them, my guys out there working for me, they're ripping me off, they're sleeping with my ex-wife, and I sent some guys in there to shoot him and kill him. And instead they went down, they sat down, they ate him with them, and they partied with him. The guy's supposed to be doing things for me or doing things against me. That's why I'm coming to you. And that's why he became an informant with SDNY. A week later, two white guys walk into that same club and shoot the guys. Okay? He didn't have any guys working for him. The only people he had working for him at that point was Rudy Giuliani's guys. And then you see later on a press conference, Rudy Giuliani out in front of that club. We're going to investigate this and we're going to catch him.
Well, one of the guys he snitched on was a big-time drug dealer who actually owned the Apollo for a short term. And his name was Guy Fisher. And Guy Fisher's actually out now. He just got released, and he's kind of making around in Harlem as a kind of like local folk hero. But yeah, Nicky Barnes definitely worked with the government. He got a kind of light sentence. And I think there's a good documentary on him called Mr. Untouchable, which follows his lead. And I think it's a common strain among these kind of big African-American drug dealers. They all say, don't snitch. But then when they're put under pressure, they snitch. There's others like other famous drug dealers by the name of Albert Alpo Martinez, who was a kind of legendary drug dealer who died a couple of years ago. He was also a notorious informant. Frank Lucas was, they made the American Gangster movie about him, and he was also an informant. So there's a kind of string between the kind of these powerful drug dealers. And there's another drug dealer by the name of Frank Matthews who allegedly had CIA connections, and he just kind of disappeared. And he was bigger than Nicky Barnes.
Country Boys.
Yeah, exactly.
And what they were getting there,
they're weird. A lot of drug dealers come from South Carolina. A lot of these big drug dealers like Frank Matthews and Frank Lucas come from South Carolina, which is also where Jesse Jackson is from. And Jesse Jackson and his brother was also a big-time drug dealer from South Carolina, Jesse Jackson's brother. So it's weird that you have this kind of small country bumpkin state exporting these major drug dealers to these big metropolitan cities like New York and Chicago.
And that heroin was coming from the body bags out of Fort Bragg.
Yep. Yeah.
But we can do 4 hours on that. So let's get into Puff Daddy.
I would think there'd be Operation Phoenix connection there. But yeah, let's go back to Diddy. So that's a little background on P Diddy. Of course, Notorious B.I.G. died, and he kind of reinvented himself as a solo artist and a music mogul. And he had a pretty good standing in the career. He bought Revolt. He advertised for Ciroc vodka, so I think he might have been one of hip hop's first billionaires.
Can I stop you for a second?
And then
a guy with the nickname Puffy, I assume he's selling marijuana too, right?
I don't think so.
No?
I think he got that nickname because he would huff and puff.
Okay.
Because I've never even seen Diddy even smoke marijuana, so I don't know about that. I don't think so.
Just a hunch. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, but he's been in the news a lot because most recently his old girlfriend of his, a very attractive young woman by the name of Cassie Ventura, sued P Diddy for $50 million, claiming she was basically like a sex slave for him.
Right.
That she was coerced to have sex, that he would rape her. And then also that she would watch other men have sex with her, and that would be a kind of kink for him. So it was a big kind of explosive lawsuit. He settled very quickly.
And it's important to know, too, that before that lawsuit was filed, Jonathan Odie was shooting up the Doral golf course and talking about all these same exact accusations. And it appears, too, that Jonathan Odie got some kind of a payoff and a settlement, too, because right away he suddenly, after his divorce of a lawyer, he all this cash dropped in his lap, and he's running around buying all these properties in Florida.
Yeah. So he bought all the properties and everything, and also I think he was escorting a porn star, Mr. P, for Mr. P Diddy. And what he did say is that Diddy was part of the Illuminati and the Boule, which is the Black Illuminati.
Right.
And yeah, so Odie's a South African native. I think he was a businessman. I think he worked for an escort service called the Dancing Bear.
Right. Right.
And I think he might have been a porn star as well, very interesting character. But yeah, he went into one of Trump's hotels, draped the American flag, and pulled out a gun and started trashing it.
You know, interesting about the Dancing Bear, because they're out of business now. It was some kind of a place we can go in person, but they also had a website. And you would think after this publicity it would make more money, but no, they went out of business.
Oh, no, I don't know if they would make more money. I think they probably closed up to hide any links to Diddy, so we'll see. Right. But yeah, that is, any publicity is good publicity, except for especially in the sex game.
Yeah.
Especially when you connect yourself to Diddy. Oh, Diddy uses these people? I don't know. But yeah, so that actually led to a lot of other lawsuits. So a lot of other people came suing him, including a woman who claimed she was raped by Diddy when she was underage. And most recently, a guy by the name of Little Rod, a producer, I think, who has a gospel background, who sued Diddy again for sexual harassment and also made a lot of claims on Diddy's sexuality and also his proclivity to violence, which also Cassie made. Cassie claimed that Diddy took a rapper and kind of hung him over a balcony. And that this other rapper claimed that Diddy was involved in a shooting of one of his son's friends. And it seems to be totally covered up by the LAPD, this shooting. You can't really find any information, no 911 call, none of the witnesses. So it seems like Diddy is definitely protected
Right. Well, there was a shooting in New York too when he was with J-Lo. He shot a pregnant woman in the hand. My friend was an EMS that was there that night, and the woman was screaming to everybody that would listen, P. Diddy just shot me in the hand. P. Diddy just shot me in the hand. And everyone was saying, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. They were putting their fingers in their ears.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting because that woman has come out again because, of course, he had a protege by the name of Shine, who is another rapper who kind of sounded like the Notorious B.I.G. And Shine took the rap for the shooting, and he did the years, and eventually he got deported to Belize, and now Shine is actually a member of parliament in the country of Belize. But Shine took the rap for that, but now everyone is saying that it was Diddy who did the shooting and not Shine, and Shine was just kind of like the fall guy.
Yeah, Diddy was sitting on the curb yelling out, I'll pay you $50,000 a year, I'll pay you $100,000 a year, I'll pay you $150,000 a year. Now, wasn't Justin Bieber also, too, as a young boy, mixed up with Diddy?
Well, first it was Usher. So Usher just performed at the Super Bowl, and Usher would go to something called P Diddy's Flavor Camp, being a 14-year-old boy living with a 30-year-old man or mid-20s-year-old man, and this was a man who was having a lot of freaky parties and stuff like that. And Usher's around all this, and Usher is actually the kind of he is to Justin Bieber what P Diddy was to Usher. So through Justin Bieber definitely got connected to P. Diddy eventually. And there's some, when you watch a lot of these videos of Diddy and Usher or Diddy and Justin Bieber, with the new information from the lawsuits, it definitely hits a little different.
Right.
So.
You there?
There was a moment where a video of Kevin Hart talking to Usher and P. Diddy, and P. Diddy's talking about how they used to wrestle for the cornflakes in the morning, which is really weird. I mean, anytime you have a grown man living with a minor who isn't a blood relative, it's a little weird. And Usher definitely said he would not let his kids go to Diddy's quote-unquote flavor camp. So
can I stop you again for 1 second? The exact quote was they would wrestle over cornflakes. So were they wrestling on top of cornflakes, which is one speculation.
No, I think what he's basically saying is there might have just been like a little bit of cornflakes left, and then whoever won the wrestling match would get the cornflakes, as I'm guessing. But that would be really interesting, like a mud wrestling, but cornflake wrestling. I never put that to it. I thought that meant that they were fighting over the cornflakes. But maybe they were wrestling on cornflakes,
that's
like
the
mud wrestling, where they have those little balls and you go into them and I don't know.
Oh, no. So what's this latest one? Now, there's another guy just filed one now, and he's got all kind of screenshots and all kind of pictures, and he's talking about P. Diddy taping people and stuff.
Yeah, this guy is by a producer who goes by the name Little Rod. Right. His real name is Rodney Jones. And so Rodney Jones claims that Diddy sexually assaulted him, and he also claimed that Diddy was involved with another rapper by the name of Meek Mill, who's a very popular street rapper. And there's all this kind of connections between billionaires. Like Diddy has connections to his own billionaires like Ron Burkle, but also Meek Mill is very close to Michael Rubin, who owns the Philadelphia 76ers, and also Robert Kraft, who owns my favorite football team, the New England Patriots.
Who just got arrested for prostitution and walked away from it.
Yeah. He definitely got arrested. So it's kind of this real elite circle of really wealthy and powerful people. It's kind of Diddy represents, he started going to the Hamptons, I think, in the 2000s. And that's kind of when the hood met Hollywood or whatever, or the Upper East Side met the West Side of Harlem or hip hop Harlem. So Diddy was really influential in kind of bringing those cultures together. I think you probably remember when Trump was partying with Diddy and all these other people.
They used to call it the white party. You had to wear all white to go to that party.
Yeah, for Labor Day, you had to go to these white parties. Yeah. So Little Rod had his lawsuit where he accused P. Diddy of sexual assault. He accused him of stealing his publishing. He said he accused him of being involved in a shooting, a 2022 shooting with his son Justin, in which somebody was shot and it was kind of covered up. And in this, he would claim that Diddy were also trying to coerce him into sex acts by showing him pictures. So there were some pictures he showed of a popular rap producer and reality TV personality by the name of Stevie J, and it would be like, hey, look, Stevie J engaged in the sexual activity, and you admire him, so you should be able to do it too. So there's a lot of really interesting, salacious stuff on the. Of course, anytime you get celebrity gossip, and the hip hop's going nuts over it because Meek Mill is always a kind of big conversation starter, and he's really gone like kind of overboard with the denials. He's been going at it with this popular blogger called DJ Academics, threatening to piss on his steps. I'm sorry if P is a curse word. I don't think so.
Yeah.
And offering to fight him. So also, yeah. So again, a lot of his allegations are similar to those of Cassie, that Diddy had parties with sex workers and also underage girls. And then this is another thing I think Cassie also said, or another one of his bodyguards and friends, Mark Curry, said, is that Diddy kind of like a Bill Cosby person, he would have these kind of laced drinks in which there would be some type of drug. So women would be drugged and they'd be sexually coerced after. So this is something that's come up a few times about Diddy, that he's getting his kind of Bill Cosby on and drugging women in their drinks.
Now, Casey Gane, how come there's not more in the news about this? Yeah, this is a huge use. He was linked to J-Lo. They were a couple for a long time. And she's, anything that happens with her, man, it's headline news. The TMZ, what's going on?
Well, he does have a big defender still. One of his defenders actually is the godfather of his children, and actually this guy funded his clothing line, funded his network, and is a billionaire by the name of Ron Burkle. Ron Burkle is a really kind of infamous guy, and also he stayed out of the news. Like, he's done a great job staying out of the news despite being on Epstein's flight logs,
right.
And going to Africa. And also another person that Burkle is connected to was Michael Jackson. Ron Burkle was one of Michael Jackson's financial advisors, along with Al Malnick. I think we might have gone over Al Malnick before. He's an old Jewish mafia type, the heir to Meyer Lansky, and he was working with Ron Burkle to advise Michael Jackson before Michael Jackson went on a kind of anti-Semitic tirade about these people and kind of broke up that alliance. So Ron Burkle gave Diddy his quote-unquote coming out party in Hollywood. His children are very close friends with Diddy's children. I think one of Ron Burkle's sons died a couple of years ago, and one of the people to really offer condolences and talk about his memories with him was Diddy's son Quincy.
Let me ask you a
So
question
I think
real quick.
Powerful forces,
Yeah,
like trying to protect him, because I think that it could lead to someone else. I don't think Diddy is just the top of the iceberg. I think he's just one part of the pyramid. And I think if you would go up and you would see what Ron Burkle is doing, because if you look at Ron Burkle and Jeffrey Epstein, there is also something that's come up in Diddy lawsuits, that he was recording people engaged in sexual acts. So this we've seen going back to the 50s. I know Whitney Webb did a pretty good report on it for Min Press and Podcast, and she's got a lot of mileage about talking about the sexual blackmail from Roy Cohn, J. Edgar Hoover, all these people, and a lot of them use young boys. So in hip hop is an extremely homophobic culture, and with Diddy engaging in gay sex with, or recording people involved in gay sex, he could also use it in blackmail, much as it is really looked down upon for grown men to sleep with underage girls. In hip hop, it is looked down on for grown men to sleep with underage girls, but it's also looked down on for grown men to have homosexual sex.
But the homosexual suspicions have been around Diddy for a long time.
Yeah. They've been around for a while, but they haven't so much in hip hop. Wendy Williams, who's going through her own little struggles right now, very popular New York radio personality who's currently struggling with dementia. She actually had pictures of Diddy on some yacht, and I think Diddy kind of blackballed her out of New York radio, so she had to go to Philly for some time before eventually getting her own talk show. So I think there are forces behind Diddy that are, that either like him. Ron Burkle is the godfather to his children.
No, hey, did you read the article I mentioned to you with Ebner?
That Ham Whisperer. I was trying to get through it, but I didn't finish it. But I read some of it.
It's a great, and we did a whole show about it too. If you look up, in fact, I'll play the repeat today. People can look for it. And by the way, too, when I play the show here too, I'm going to put up all the court documents, the lawsuits, because they're all available online with pictures. This is fancy lawsuits there too, yeah. And also to that video of that fellow Jonathan Odie, the dancing bear confession. It's an interrogation that came out before this. There's a videotape of a confession before all these lawsuits that corroborates everything in these lawsuits. But in the Mark Ebner article, he talks about Burkle and a couple of other fellows, and they got their act down to a science where they take these young ladies, they give them acting lessons, singing lessons, they get a little bit of fame, and then they pull the rug out from under them, they lose their fame, and then they sell them as prostitutes. Because the people...
I have to make my godfather. I gave her acting lessons, singing lessons. And to be more personal with you, she was the best piece that I've ever had.
Yeah, that's a great impression. And that's the same thing that they'll...
Even with Jack Woltz, going back to The Godfather, Jack Woltz, if you watch The Godfather movie with the deleted scenes... There's a scene in which Hagen catches Jack Woltz with an underage girl. So this has been going on in Hollywood, in the entertainment business for a long time, the exploitation of young women. Also, gay activities in the music business going like, Clive Davis is gay. That doesn't mean he's exploiting anyone, but there are definitely rumors of him exploiting men, exploiting people like Andre Harrell and P. Diddy. And then it becomes a kind of cycle in which the molester becomes the molester. And I think maybe that's what's happening with Diddy, that he realized that he was willing to kind of have gay sex for power. And once he got power himself, he decided to see who else was willing to have gay sex for power.
Now, my understanding that with the first guy to come up with this whole formula, with the rap formula, was Russell Simmons. And then you could do the clothing line and the perfume and all that stuff like that. And he's the guy that has the formula. He invented it, right?
And Russell Simmons and P. Diddy, I think Russell Simmons went back. He might be the first kind of hip-hop mogul, and he might have been one of the first people to kind of also bridge the kind of hip-hop lifestyle with the Upper East Side, elite, white New York nightlife. And he's very interesting, too, because he was also very close friends with Brett Ratner, and Brett Ratner was close friends with Michael Jackson and Al Malnick in Miami. And right now, I think Usher just made an appearance with Russell Simmons in Bali. So there's been some accusations of sexual assault that have come out against Russell Simmons. And Russell Simmons has kind of just left the United States, and now he's living in Bali. And one of my favorite YouTubers was saying he's giving off like sex tourist vibes over in Bali. So, but Russell's a very interesting person too. Also, there's been rumors of him being bisexual, and also being interested in underage girls. His wife, Kimora Lee Simmons, I think he met her when she was 16 years old, or his ex-wife. You know, they've since been divorced. But it's common. It's a very common thing. I think Diddy, even his first baby mother, I think might have been 15, 16 when she had his first child. And I think he might have been, maybe early 20s.
I have somebody very close to me, almost like a son, who became like a rap producer for a while there. And he had gotten some funding from Russell Simmons, And what his game was, he would sign up these young artists and then basically for 90% of all their income and then sell the contract. Yeah. It's just outrageous.
It's a dirty. So I had a small rap career, but I was never big enough to really get ripped off, which is a good thing. And I've kept all my publishing and everything like that. So I had meetings at some of these big record labels like Shady and Atlantic, but nothing ever formalized. But no, the hip hop business is notoriously exploits its talent, not only for their money, but also we're seeing now through sexual ways or kind of compromises and corrupts people. And I think that's really important for a kind of Hollywood or media entertainment. And we're seeing this with Diddy being kind of central to gangster rap. And it was very interesting. I think one CIA officer recently said that gangster rap was kind of started by the CIA, which is interesting because Jerry Heller definitely had connections to the Mossad, and Jerry Heller famously put out Eazy-E and NWA. So yeah, Diddy is kind of what they're saying now is he's like the hip hop Epstein, which is interesting. And they're both tied to Ron Burkle in the middle, and I think also Naomi Campbell was very close friends with P Diddy for a long time, and also close friends with Jeffrey Epstein. And it seems they both like underage girls, and I'm not sure about Jeffrey Epstein and gay activities, but I know he was rolling around with Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey, I don't think would like underage girls, just more like underage boys.
I have a list. I have a list of the Epstein women with their photographs, and some of them would just worked for him as massage therapists or nutritionists and stuff like that. They're listed under that, but there's men on that list too that we're giving massages to as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think people like Jeffrey Epstein, that they're like a one-stop shop. If you like them young, you can get them young. If you like them male, you can get them male. If you like them
and I'm sure, like when in that group, they all know each other. They're selling their information to the same people. They all, and you talk to other people. Hey, how much are you getting for this? How much are you getting for that? So it's all going to the same people. There seems to be a lot too with these private planes. A lot of these rap guys, they like to fly on private planes. And once you're on a private plane, there's pretty much no security. Well, no metal detectors. There's no security. There's no X-ray machines. So you can pretty much take back and forth on these planes whatever you want, whether they're human cargo or drugs. How much of this is drugs? Because Miami keeps coming up a lot. Florida, drug trafficking up to New York.
Well, there's a big rap collective or slash drug dealing gang called BMF, the Black Mafia Family. There's actually a show on Stars that's airing right now that's about them, and it's about their leader, Big Meech. But one of the allegations, I think maybe out of the Cassie lawsuit, was that Diddy was laundering drug money for BMF. So I think at the point where Diddy is, I don't think he's moving any drugs himself, but I think it's very possible that he's laundering money through the music business. And then, these big music-connected drug dealing cartels like BMF use people like P. Diddy to launder their money.
Well, what about a guy like Damon Dash? It seems like he started with the drugs.
Damon Dash definitely started off as a drug dealer. And I think there's actually a video of Damon Dash partying with Ghislaine Mac.
Really?
Yeah, let me see.
Very interesting.
It's very hard to find.
Now, what about all this stuff about that Cat Stevens is running around saying?
Cat Williams.
Williams.
So Cat Williams is interesting. I think he's picking at low-hanging fruit, which is Dave Chappelle picked him to, but I'm not sure. I tried to be in the music business. I tried to be in the film business, and it hasn't really worked out. Maybe it's because I'm not part of any Illuminati.
I gotta say, when you listen to the John Odie tape and the stuff he's talking about the Illuminati, I think that's stuff he's reading on the internet. I don't think it's stuff information he got directly from P Diddy or anything like that. Did you watch it?
I did watch it. Yeah, when he talks about P Diddy being part of the Illuminati along with DJ Khaled and Rick Ross, who are by Miami-based music people, which is interesting because DJ Khaled is Palestinian. And he hasn't spoken a word up for the Palestinian people while they've been genocided. So you have to wonder if someone has anything on DJ Khaled. I think people throw around the term Illuminati a little too loosely, but I think he clearly knew that Diddy was part of some kind of secret society in which secret activities would go on, whether or not they be the same Illuminati from Europe. But he also talked about the Boule, which he says were like the black Illuminati, the kind of black elite version. Which I think when you use terms like Illuminati, I think people automatically think, oh, you're just a crazy conspiracy theorist. But I think there are secret sects that operate like the Illuminati, that are connected to the elite, that use sexual blackmail, that murder, that kind of get away with things. And I don't know if you call them the Illuminati, deep state, whatever. But I think he was definitely just trying to allude to the fact that he was part of like some secret deviant society along with these other rappers.
Well, I think one of P. Diddy's women was an Eastern Star, Masonic.
Okay.
Am I correct?
In the Illuminati?
No, one of these was Eastern Star, the Freemasons, Eastern Star, the female version of the East, and it's a black female version of a Masonic.
Oh, no, I wasn't familiar with the Eastern Star. That's news to me.
Oh, yeah, I found out the hard way. Okay. Okay. About that stuff, yeah. Okay. And also, too, you know, what's his name? Dershowitz says he was introduced to Epstein by Evelyn Rothschild. They're part of the Evelyn Rothschild bunch. And, you know? So, yeah, all that stuff about...
it's so crazy. I see like Alan Dershowitz like has a YouTube show and he's talking about like Fannie Willis and everything. And I don't like he's another person who's obviously really protected with all these allegations to still be getting like media time and not have to be like kind of blackballed. So it's
Oh, yeah. No, the media is terrified of Alan Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz admitted that remember that open mic video that came out? She says, oh, we knew all about Epstein. We knew all about Clinton's, and we were shut down. Yeah. Alan Dershowitz brags about shutting that down. He's the guy that shut that down. I heard him with my own ears. Yeah.
Yeah, so Damon Dash, I think his ex-wife, Rachel Roy, is definitely connected to Ghislaine Maxwell. So I think there's definitely some other connections.
Now, Damon Dash has so much money that he actually had a private equity company that funded Michael Jackson, right?
I don't know. I think Damon Dash, he just got sued. I think he's constantly going through bankruptcy and he's constantly dealing with these
really
lawsuits. And I think recently he had to sell his shares in Rockefeller Records, which was a record label that he founded with Jay-Z.
Yeah, Jay-Z's another one. Okay, now and you hear Kanye West talking about Jay-Z's pointing Hitman at his brain. You know, what's going on there? Yeah.
I would have to wonder if Jay would come next. Of course, Jay-Z. There have been allegations that he was having sex with a rapper by the name of Foxy Brown when she was underage. It's weird when you have this kind of absolute power. And it's kind of corrupting absolutely. But we'll see if we'll get down to Jay-Z. And I think that's another reason you're not even getting too much pushback on Diddy is that so many people that he's had social ties with. So you have to wonder what dirt does he have on people. And, a lot of people in the hip-hop community have been hesitant to criticize P. Diddy, even in this kind of new hip-hop Me Too movement.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you look at the meat inside these complaints, these are legal complaints that have been filed in court. Some of them have been settled. And you look at the meat of the accusations in these things. This is a gold mine scandal. This is the kind of thing that TMZ would be pumping up 24/7, man. But they mention it, but that's it.
That's it. And then, like I'm saying, when you see like the shooting being covered up, I know TMZ is tied to LAPD, and the LAPD seems to be covering for Diddy and at least the shooting incident, according to a lot of popular YouTubers. So there's definitely some powerful forces in the media. Ron Burkle is a very powerful figure behind the scenes. He owns the Soho House, which is a very popular chain of kind of private nightclubs that are all around the world. He owns Neverland Ranch, even though he had a dispute with Michael Jackson. When Michael died, he bought Neverland Ranch. He has stake in Yahoo. I think he has a stake in the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Wait, who owns Neverland Ranch right now?
Ron Burkle.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So one can imagine there might be all sorts of hidden material there that could have been been used.
Yeah, DNA. There's got to be DNA all over that place, man.
DNA, old pictures, maybe. Who knows what's back in Neverland Ranch? So so it's the same thing. I think we did a show before where we talked about Ron Burkle, Al Malnick, Michael Jackson, and this kind of Jewish mafia connection between Michael Jackson and Chris Tucker. Yep. It was Chris Tucker.
Right, Chris Tucker being on Epstein's plane. That was the last thing we talked about. Yeah, Michael Jackson.
So both. It's interesting that you have P. Diddy and Chris Tucker are both people who kind of connect both to Michael Jackson and Ron Burkle, Jeffrey Epstein.
And then you have Trump and allowing his kids, Trump friendship with Michael Jackson, allowing his kids to play with Michael Jackson, play video games with an adult Michael Jackson, right? And his connection to Epstein and all this.
So I was doing some research on Michael Jackson, and I didn't know, but Michael Jackson was very close with Sean Lennon.
Really?
And Michael and Sean Lennon actually made a song about it called Bubbles or something, in which he he talked about his relationship with Michael Jackson and how like when he grew up, like Michael was just done with him, and then he used like Bubbles the monkey as a kind of metaphor for his relationship. Like once the monkey's done, the relationship is over and everything like that. So it's Michael is going. I was watching some like rewatching Michael Jackson like holding up Emmanuel Lewis, and Emmanuel Lewis is 14 years old when he's at the Grammys with Michael Jackson, and Michael's holding him like he's a baby and carrying him around. It's just really a little disturbing, especially given. And there's another position. If you Google Emmanuel Lewis, Michael Jackson, you'll get some pretty disturbing pictures if you believe that Michael Jackson is a pedophile.
Right, and at the time he was pretending to be dating Brooke Shields, who has that same issue in her life, and she was around Bob Hope, man. God knows what this guy was up to. Very interesting. Elliot
and Brooke Shields, wasn't she in Playboy when she was like 13, which is crazy, or she was definitely.
I think it was like 12. She was in that, and it was little. She was very little, a little kid. But Elliot Mintz. Elliot Mintz.
Yeah, Hugh Hefner needs to go to hell for that one.
Yeah, and Hugh Hefner's another one, man. But Elliot Mintz was the spokesperson. He on a hunch. This guy was sleeping on people's couches, right? On a hunch, he thinks that John Lennon's about to get assassinated. He hops on a red eye and flies to New York, and he knows the doorman. They give him a key to walk in. After the shooting, he shows up right there. He becomes
the doorman was a CIA guy too, right? The doorman was an old CIA Cuban.
Yeah. Jose Padermo. But the real shooter in that is the maintenance man. The gun was found in the office of the maintenance man. So I think Padermo was kind of a front. But Elliot Mintz was sleeping on couches. He becomes Yoko Ono's spokesperson after John Lennon kills. Now he's the super agent to the stars. Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, all these super agent over there. He's a wealthy guy now. And who is he representing right now? Paris Jackson. And I encourage everybody to go to the Paris Jackson Instagram page and look at what this woman is up to, man. She's doing wide in your face witchcraft rituals on the beach with all her girlfriends with candles and chickens and the whole deal, man. You gotta watch this thing right in your face, man.
That is so crazy.
Oh, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
So right now, Russell Simmons is trending on Twitter, and they got all the pictures of him with Usher. So Usher, goes from these allegations of being connected to this one sex offender and Diddy, this kind of hip-hop mogul sex offender, to this other hip-hop alleged sex offender, Russell Simmons. And so it's crazy that all these things tie in, from like the JFK assassination to the John Lennon assassination to
now what about
P Diddy and everything.
What are these guys saying? What are people like Russell Simmons and Usher and Justin Bieber? What are they saying about these Diddy accusations? Anybody?
Nothing. The only person who said anything is Meek Mill, and he's kind of made a bit of a donkey of himself, arguing with people over these allegations, and then people are bringing up pictures where like these billionaires are hugging him, or he's like doing a little bunny hop for the billionaires. So I think they're playing it smart. They're just kind of, ignoring allegations, which Usher has done before with he had allegations he had herpes before he never really brought it up, and there's always been gay allegations around Usher.
Well, yeah. Now, what do you think this is? Do you think this is organic, or do you think this is, from the top down, we're taking out these top-level hip-hop guys and we're going to put our own people in there and take over the hip-hop industry?
It's hard to say because it all comes from Cassie's lawsuit. So did they make Cassie file this lawsuit, or did she file it over her own free will? And it's the same thing with Epstein, Weinstein, these people who've been protected for years. Even Bill Cosby, like all these people who've obviously been protected for years. Did the power system stop supporting them, or did they, was it organic? Like when people think about Bill Cosby, people think it comes from this stand-up comedian by the name of Hannibal Buress, who went viral for talking about Bill Cosby and rape, and asked people to Google it, and then that happened after. So it's hard to say,
Actually, it was Ebner again. Ebner was the first guy on Cosby, and they wouldn't sell his article. They didn't want to take it. But Cosby has that. Cosby, by the way, was neighbors with Epstein, by the way. They were in the same corner. But also, too, Cosby did that same exact thing with the young girls, with the acting lessons and the singing lessons and the da-da-da-da-da. But I don't think he was into the prostitution angle. He just was hitting them when they were students, when they were coming up. What a mess.
It's crazy, man. It's this entertainment business. I grew up, worshiping Michael Jackson and loving the Cosby Show, and I think this is something that dates back, going back to the British, because Ian Fleming and Noel Coward, Ian Fleming who wrote the James Bond books, and Noel Coward, who was a kind of very out homosexual playwright and actor, they were actually chosen to influence American politics. And one way they would do it would be through celebrities, and then they would have all these celebrities to their naked pool parties at their place in Jamaica. So I think there's been a conscious effort by people in power to use celebrity and control celebrities for their own, personal political gain. And one way you can do that is by making sure they're all sexually blackmailed. So you'd have to think like, Bill Cosby had a lot of power and voice, but he never really campaigned for Black America. He never got socialist. He was never with the Black Panthers. He was never too militant. He was always a kind of
the other way around.
Safe,
the other way around.
Safe Black man.
Yeah, and he was very close with Hefner, though. Hefner and Cosby were very, very close.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, there was one woman from the Playboy Club who said that. Playboy Mansion, who said that Bill Cosby raped her there. So I think that.
I think that's the one when they found that she suicided herself, and they found all kind of pentagrams and stuff on her wall too. That one, the one that said.
Oh wow, I wasn't aware of that. But
also too, real quick, if you go back even further back with Bill Cosby, and you watch that old TV sitcom he had where he was a high school coach. Okay.
Yep.
and you go back and watch those now with a different eye. You see these young girls in the classroom, getting these little minor speaking parts, and there's definitely some kind of shenanigans going on there between them. There's just no doubt about it when you watch that.
Yeah, well, there's an old video of Alicia Keys, a very young Alicia Keys on the Cosby Show, and she's getting like a lap ride from Bill Cosby, and I'll have a cousin or a nephew every now and then hop on my lap, and I won't, kick them off, everything like that. But when you have all these kind of kids on your lap, it's especially looking at Bill Cosby now. Of course, if you look at him as a kind of like, father figure, I guess it seems like, all right, he's just playing daddy. But
in
retrospect, it's not a good look.
You talk about sexual blackmail, and then you look at Hunter Biden, and you got Lev Parnas talking about how the Russian FSB was flying him to Kazakhstan for free hookers and free coke, man, and then filming the whole thing and putting it on these laptops, man. Right
now, and the big thing is there was just an article that Ted Rubenstein posted, but I couldn't read it because Fox News has a paywall right now. But that Joe Biden has said absolutely nothing about like the biggest crisis in America, which is the fentanyl crisis. I mean, anyone who goes outside, and if you live in a major city, you'll see these zombies, and you'll see people like offering to sell fentanyl, and this is like an epidemic that is killing people worse than the crack epidemic, and you get no outcry, no outrage, nothing from Joe Biden. And, of course, Hunter Biden was in China as well. So why isn't China being held accountable for all this kind of fentanyl that's coming in? How is the fentanyl coming in? Is it coming in like Iran-Contra? Is people using this fentanyl to fund another illegal war? So definitely sexual blackmail for politicians, for celebrities. We see how important celebrities are for people who vote. And, P Diddy was definitely really involved in the vote or die campaign, and Ron Burkle is a big Hillary Clinton backer, and I think that that was the big kind of 2008 election. I think originally Diddy was a Hillary Clinton supporter, but there's also a picture of Diddy, Ron Burkle, and Michael Jackson all together. So he kind of ties all these kind of notorious sexual deviants together.
Well, Diddy also, too, around the time of the election of Hillary Clinton, he started his own political polling company. I don't know if he still has it, but he definitely launched one.
Who was this, Diddy?
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, because that's juice, man. That's having controlling that kind of information. That's juice. Or having that kind of information.
Yeah, that's a lot. And especially interesting because, the hip-hop vote, the black vote, is very important, and we're seeing it right now. We're seeing I'm seeing the hip hop vote release, and part of the black vote. Maybe I think you might have black women who still really hate Donald Trump and they love Fani Willis. Have you been watching the Fani Willis trial, Ed?
I watched the first day from cover to cover, but then that was it. I saw enough.
There's nothing political about that at all. That's why, I would have called you, like, I want to talk about this, because I've been like, it's been like soap opera. I've been watching all these court dates and watching everyone's commentary on them. But it's really interesting. Trump is a tough guy, and it's more, it's a Lewinsky type scandal. It's really just sex. There's no real corruption except for the money that this guy Nathan Wade would spend flying her to these exotic places in Belize and the Bahamas and California, wine. Excuse me, I almost swore. Wine galleries.
Yeah, we're out of time anyway. We got about 1 minute left. What would you like to leave us with, Mr. Cassie Gane-McCalla? You could find him on.
So I need money, people. So like, I'll definitely start Reality Theory up again if we can get a Patreon to pay me. But in the meantime, if you have a small business and you need a logo or you need any type of artwork, animation, advertising, definitely get at me through my Cassie Gane on Facebook, Cassie Gane on Instagram and on Twitter. And I'd love to help you out with your small business. I think with this kind of AI revolution, I think it's either going to be these big businesses are going to replace us, or maybe we can kind of replace these big businesses. So instead of spending a whole bunch of money with a big graphic design company, you can just go to little old me. And I'm also doing tutorial services. So instead of just giving you some fish, I'll teach you how to fish. I'll teach you how to create your own logos. I'll teach you how to create your own images, backgrounds, animation for your businesses, and just, reach out to me directly on social media. I'm very accessible. Cassie
Gane. And also to Cassie, what's the name of your book again? The CIA War in Jamaica, which is the definitive book on CIA.
Book is Inside the CIA's Secret War in Jamaica, and it's available on Amazon.
Guys, Cassie Gane's been around a long, long time. We were talking off there. He's one of the old heads, one of the old guys, a respected elder statesman at this point, man, an elder statesman in the conspiracy field and the research field, parapolitics. This is one of the real guys, out there you can trust. I've never seen him do anything shady. If I did, he wouldn't be on the show. I get rid of a lot of people, you know what I mean?
They don't have anything to compromise me yet. They haven't sent me the hookers and blows, so I hopefully I'll turn them down when they do.
Well, yeah, hopefully. But otherwise, man, I'll meet you there. All right, Cassie, man, thank you so much. Keep in touch, okay, my friend?
I'll be talking. So let's talk about the conspiracy bot offline in the next couple of hours or days or whatever.
You got it, my friend. Good night.
All right, great chat with you, Ed.
You too.